بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our good deeds. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us do what we do purely to please Him and Him alone. Allahumma arzuqna al-ikhlasa fil amal ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma bika asbahna wa bika amsayna wa bika nahya wa bika namut. Allahumma ma asbahna bihi min ni'matin faminka wahdaka la sharika lak falaka alhamdu wa laka al-shukr. Inshallah, we continue today where we stopped last week, and we talked about the last part of Surat Al-Nahl. We talked about the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بعد أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. This ayah talk about the da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every single one of us muqassirun fi that. We have so much shortcoming. You know, the Islam started with one, and that is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now you see billions, right? So subhanallah, there's always this duty and way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us to make the da'wah, because the da'wah is, many of us, we may not focus on it. It's a sabilul najat. It's the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save us with. You got to remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Muslims, we have two things to do. One is ta'zeem, and the second is shafaqah. Ta'zeem is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by tawheed, tasbih, tahmeed, the ibadah, right? And the shafaqah is to ourselves and to the ibad by making invitation to the da'wah of Allah. And sometimes when we hear we have to be a da'iyah, we kind of like, wait a second, I'm not a scholar. There are so many things. So today, inshallah, we're going to go didactically over a few things that what should we know about the da'wah and how can we be a better du'at, inshallah. And I'll get you a few of the scholars' thoughts on that, inshallah. First, the ud'u, it's an order. It is an order, it's a mandate. So I'll start with, is the da'wah fard or is it da'wah nafila? So that's the question to all of us. You can raise your hand and throw the answer. Is the da'wah fard or a nafila? Is it something you have to do, or is it a nafila? It is a fard. It is a fard. بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي, right? The Prophet ﷺ ordered us, right? Now the question is, if it is fard, is it fardu kifaya or fardu ayn? Is it a collective or is it an individual? So what is the answer here? Fardu ayn. Well, it could be both. It could be both. And that depends on the situation. And I'm just collecting summary of the scholars' quote. And the ayah is وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. So to be some of you. So the word minkum, some of the scholars they say tab'id. And some of the scholars they say no, it's not tab'id, it means part of you. right? Some of the scholars says minkum, it means from you, like the jins, all of you. It means all of you. It's minkum, not from others, right? It's like you're assigned. But what the consensus is that if you live, or if the community around you, that evil prevails, and that is al-batil muntashir, right, the falsehood, then it becomes a fard ayn. Every single one of us have that duty. But if there are, alhamdulillah, it's all, then you can have a specialized group that they can do this, right? And you don't have to do it because the others are doing it and you have sufficient. But in general, I will tend toward that every individual has that duty, because the da'wah could take many aspects. For example, if you go and to your family and you order them with the salah, that's da'wah. So if you want to take all this, that becomes fard ayn. That becomes a fard ayn. Now, if you want to look at it as it's like a da'iyah giving fiqh classes and all this, then it's a fard kifaya. Now, one more thing about the definition is when you are making a da'wah to the deen, it's totally different when you're making a fatwa, right? So not everybody can do the fatwa, but everybody can do the da'wah, okay? So the fatwa has to have that background of knowledge to be able to do, right? The other thing is, how much knowledge do you need to have to make the da'wah? And you have to have like a degree in usul al-din, or you have to have a certificate, or you have to be a hafiz, or you have to be a muhaddith, or you have to be all this. Anybody know the answer? How much knowledge you need to do to make a da'wah? Right? بلغوا عني ولو آية. So it's all according to your ability. To your ability. You know this hadith, or part of the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, بلغوا عني ولو آية. You know, the scholar looks at that part, and they make comments on this. And the comments is, بلغوا عني ولو آية. This is a taklif, right? That is, you are a mukallaf, you're assigned to convey from the Prophet ﷺ, to convey about this deen. So there is a taklif, an order and taklif. The second part is tashrif. Tashrif, that means you're conveying from whom? Muhammad ﷺ. I mean, this is an honorable thing to do, right? You know, you work for a company and the CEO comes and chooses you among all these people to go and give the order of this, or, you know, convey a message. You're going to walk down to the employee, to your colleagues, hey, the CEO talked to me to tell you, right? SubhanAllah. So this is, you are conveying from whom? From Muhammad ﷺ. Who is conveying from whom? From Allah is in tashrifun ala tashrif, right? It's an honorable and honorable and honorable. And number 3 is takhfif, right? Takhfif. So you have taklif, tashrif, right? And takhfif. It means even if one ayah, that should be sufficient. The key is to make the da'wah. The key is to convey. So this is the da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, what the da'iyah should, you know, some of the scholars say about what we call qawa'id al-da'wah, or, you know, principles of a few things. One of the things is al-qudwa qabla al-da'wah. Al-qudwa qabla al-da'wah. It means you have to be the example. If you want to go and order somebody to pray and you don't pray, where is, right? Have we seen that? We've seen it many times. Sometimes parents order the kids to pray and they don't pray, right? Well, how do you expect them to listen or to follow, right? So the Qudwa qabla Dawa, the Prophet ﷺ, he did not order people to pray and he didn't pray. He said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, right? When into Hajj, he said, Khudhu anni manasikakum, right? So you have to do what, it's been written in the, among the things that's Malik Oman, ما دلني على هذا النبي إلا أنه لا يأمر بخير إلا كان أول من أخذ به ولا ينهى عن شر إلا كان أول تارك له. Right? So that, the king of Oman, he says, what made me really come to Islam is that I've noticed that the Prophet ﷺ, that whenever he orders something, he'll do it first. And if he wants us to stop something, he will be the first to leave it. So in other words, you have to be a qudwa, a lead that people can follow. That make your speech or make your da'wah highly accepted. Number 2, al-ihsanu qabla al-bayan. Al-ihsanu qabla al-bayan. In other words, if you want to connect with somebody, to invite them, be kind, be nice. You can't just come in and bully them, right? Sometimes you'll see people ordering people or making da'wah by being rough. That doesn't work. It may not be more receptive to have that thing. So they always, ihsan, you can start with a gift, you can start with an invitation to dinner or to, whatever it is that, or candy, whatever it is, just an ihsan. Help them out, neighbor, you help them out with, with things. I remember one of the brothers who reverted to Islam, and we asked him, what made you, come to Islam and become a Muslim? He said he had a friend that he really made him love Islam. He was very generous. The generosity of that person, of that Muslim, right, made him got his attention. So that made him wanted to know more. And this is how he became a Muslim. This is how it started. So al-ihsanu qabla al-bayan. Number 3, al-taysiru lil-ta'sir. Make it easy. Make it easy on them, right? I still remember one of the times we were in the masjid and somebody declared Islam, right? And somebody shouted from the back, you should change your name. We've seen that, right? SubhanAllah. I actually got introduced to somebody who became Muslim and his name was Tony. So I said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Tony, and everything. Wallahi, the next time I saw him, I don't know what happened. I said, Assalamu alaikum, Tony. And he said, I changed my name, and my name is Ihsan. He's on his own, it changed his name. You don't need to. So those things fall back. In other words, sometimes you see kids coming to the masjid, right? And they're wearing shorts, right? This is their first time to the masjid. If you're going to come and shout at them why you're wearing shorts and why you're this, they may run away, they never come back, right? Taysir, make it easy on them. Start slowly. So if you see something, just because the moment the faith settled in the heart, everything will fall into place. It comes by itself. So look at the aqidah matter first, the iman, And that's what the Prophet ﷺ, we learn from the seerah. The first 13 years, he invited to Islam. Then the tashri'ah, the ahkam became later, right? The khamr, you know, the Dawa, the alcohol, right? It didn't come in like you stop, right? And we know the Aisha, hadith Aisha says, if the ayat of the alcohol came in to stop right away, it probably didn't work. But it worked gradually, right? And then it becomes subhanAllah. So the bottom line is make it easy on people. Focus on the true message. And the true message is La ilaha illallah Islam. And then the other branches comes in later on and you can focus on that. And then is at-tarbiyah al-ta'riyah. In other words, give you an example. And this actually was given by this scholar. It's one of the scholars praying, and then somebody brought his friend, and his friend was like among the asat, really all his life, and alhamdulillah now he wanted to become straight and all this. So he introduced him to the sheikh. He said, this is my friend so and so, alhamdulillah now he's fine, but he was this and he was that and he was this and he was that. Why are you exposing the person, right? This is very embarrassing and all this. So in other words, just focus on what you're building, not to go back and all this. And also, خاطب العقل والقلب. خاطب العقل والقلب. In other words, focus, attract them with, like, you know, sometimes you just give like a dry lecture, it doesn't work. Let them participate in this and let them figure out things for themselves. And that's extremely, extremely important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayat قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Right? So, what does basira mean? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, tell them, this is my way, I invite you to Allah, right? Ala basira. What does basira mean here? What is the meaning of that? Raise your hand and tell me. Yes?
It means from the heart, it's not just like vision.
Okay, it's from the heart, it's not vision, yes. Knowledge. So you have bait knowledge, right?
Convinced.
Convinced. In other words, ala basira, you cannot invite to something that you yourself don't know. So you have to have that knowledge of what you're inviting to. And that's extremely important. When the Prophet ﷺ says, بِلِّمُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, in other words, you have to be sure that you know that knowledge, you have a yaqeen, you believe in it, and then you convey it. You cannot convey something that you don't know, right? That becomes like, and I say this because this is so much spread now. You watch on social media something and then boom, right? You forward. Make sure, ta'akkad, right? And not everything you see it's a solid knowledge, it's authentic knowledge. So in ala basira, it means al-ilmu. Look at this, one of the scholars says, basira, three things. Number one, al-ilmu qabla al-da'wa. Number two, al-leenu ma'a al-da'wa. Number three, al-sabru ba'da al-da'wa. Allah. That is, you have a knowledge before you invite. You know what to do, right? And lean, to be kind, right? لو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك, right? So you have to be really kind so that people can get close to you. And number three, as-sabr. Why do you need to be patient when you make da'wah? Why? Why do you need that? You just throw the knowledge and walk away, right? What happened? Why?
Because it takes time for people to be convinced. Look at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He kept asking people for Islam, invite them to Islam. For the first 10 years, only 70 people believed in him in Mecca.
Right.
70 people in 10 years. Imagine, like that's 7 every year. You have to be patient.
Right, but in addition to that, they did not leave him alone, right? They came after him, caused harm, right? So as-sabru ala al-adha. You know how many times you invite and you see that sometimes they get harassed, right? And the first people who are harassed, because you're doing what the Anbiya were doing, right? Wada'if al-Rusul, right? And what happens in the Rusul when they make Da'wah to Allah? You read the Quran and you know. You read the Seerah and you know, right? The other is day and night, never stops. And the calling names, Kadib, Sahir, Majnoon, right? They say that about the Anbiya and all this. So if you don't have that steadfast, and if you don't have that sabr, you're not a da'i. You will just give up, right? So this is among the basir. أنا ومن اتبعني. That means this for you, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for whom following you. The followers of Muhammad, they have the duty of ud'u, hadihi sabil, right? That means who follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? All of us, right? So this is the one who follow the Anbiya, follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have the duty to convey this message. Ad'u ala basir. طيب.
بالنسبة للصبر في شيء كمان.
Huh?
There's something also more.
Yeah.
On the sabr. You have to be patient because you're talking to different people, and the understanding is different. So you have to be patient with them with their question and go through and not that's it and follow the next step. So you have to be very patient with them.
MashaAllah, excellent, excellent. So that takes us to the point is the people that al-mad'uun, the people that you make the da'wah to. They're different kinds, different types, right? And there is like one who disbelievers, right? And they kufr, right? And there's one who are believers but usat, disobedient, right? And there's some who are believers but they're in heedlessness, ghafilun, right? And there are people who have knowledge but they're mubtilun, and munafiqun, right? So every one of them you have to figure a way to deal with. And that's where this ayah is telling us. ادعو إلى سبيل ربك إيش؟ حكمة حسنة وجادلهم. There's 3 ways to deal with that, right? The hikmah is what? What's the meaning of hikmah? Wisdom, that's translation. I don't want translation. Okay, what is the wisdom means?
You got to be very sensible about what you ask. You don't ask for something that's almost impossible. You got to be very, very full-minded of what is you asking people to do, and if it is feasible or not. If it's not, then don't do it.
So the hikmah, I wanted, like, you have a young man, a student comes to you and said, what does hikmah means? And I want you to explain to him straightforward in a few words. What's hikmah means? I can't hear somebody say something. Makhafatullah. It's from the hikmah makhafatullah, but that's not the definition. Exactly. Al-isabatu fil qawli wal amal. To be right on target in your speech and your action. Right? So al-isaba fil qawl wal amal, that is you right on target in speech and in action. Now I'm gonna let you speak in a second. Now the reason is I was sensitive. You see, I'm like you. I have some gray hair.
No, look, I don't have hair.
That's even better. MashaAllah. Now the gray hair like this is hikmah.
I don't have hikmah.
That is from the hikmah. And the no hair is even more hikmah. Now I wanted just to take the word linguistically because you see that in the Quran. Because the hikmah, we mentioned that, but also it can mean other things. Among the other things is يَتْلُو عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ and آيَاتُ اللَّهِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, says when you have the word hikmah comes in the Quran, paired with the Quran or with al-kitab or with ayatullah, the hikmah means the sunnah. It means the sunnah. So I just want you to remember that when it comes to Quran, ayatullah wal hikmah, that means the Quran and the sunnah. The Quran and the sunnah. So that's when you see that. You go ahead.
Yes, this is a good example for hikmah, which I really love this example. The story of Sayyidina Sulaiman and the story with the two ladies with a baby, and everyone says that this is my baby, and he came with the hikmah.
Was it Dawood or Sulaiman? Dawood or Sulaiman?
I mean, it doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter who.
No, but
the
I
way,
mean just
it's Sulaiman, as far as I know. But he came with the hikmah, something you never think about it. But he brought the right question in order to solve with hikmah the situation. Otherwise, he couldn't have done it. Yeah.
Right. So among the hikmah, from the hikmah, is to really find a way to bring the explanation or the action or the knowledge in a way that people would accept. Like put things in the right place to be fitted so you'll be able to deliver your message. MashaAllah, barakallah feek. Like, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here.
ومن أوتي الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا.
نعم.
This, you can't get me more.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us more hikmah, inshallah. Allahumma ameen.
Ameen.
Ya Rab. طيب. Okay. So the virtues, when you make da'wah, what is the reward of this? What is the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in this? I just wanted to, we all know those things, and I just wanted to revisit this because sometimes we really walk away. We see munkar and we just walk away. So it's not in my business. And this has become so much nowadays. It's like you mind your own business. SubhanAllah. And sometimes you find yourself, well, I don't say that to you. I say that to myself. Many times I just want to cut it short and just walk away. And we should not really do that. We should really get involved in everything that we're able to and we're capable to, and we can make a difference. And that's how you build an ummah. That's how you, if ummah is destroyed, to rebuild it again. And that's where we are. We need to rebuild again what we've lost. So to get involved, think about the reward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَى إِلَى اللَّهِ. This is like the best thing that you can do. And remember, when you make the da'wah, this is like وَظِيفَةُ الرُّسُلِ. You are taking the muhimma, the job of the messengers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember the ayah, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا. The other thing is the مَنْ دَلَّ عَلَى خَيْرٍ فَلَهُ مثل الأجر. So if you invite somebody to Islam and whatever action he does, all the rewards comes to you in addition to his rewards. And if we do not make da'wah, the la'na of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend down on that ummah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, you remember the ayah in Surat Al-Ma'idah, لعن الذين كفروا من بني إسرائيل على لسان داود وعيسى بن مريم. Why? ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون كانوا لا يتناهون عن منكر فعلوه لبئس ما كانوا يفعلون. In other words, they've seen the munkar and they never stopped it. That's where the curse came in onto them. And also the da'wah, when you make the da'wah, it keeps you busy with obedience to Allah, with ta'ah, right? And give you more what we call tathbeet, make you firm and strong on the deen. Wallahi, it does bring you back. Many times you want to give, let's say, a da'wah on something, you find yourself, you don't do it, you feel so ashamed, you go and do it yourself first, and then you come back and make the da'wah for it, or just make a commitment that you're really going to do this. I'll give you an example, and this is written in some of the books, is in the time when there was the slaves. So one guy came into the imam at that time, and he said, "Can you make, in your khutbah, encourage people to tahrir al-abid, to release the slaves and encourage them? It's becoming so much now." And he said, "Inshallah." Right? And time passed, like 2-3 months, and then he did give that khutbah about to encourage people, the reward of this and all this. So he came to him, he said, "Why did you take so long to do that?" And he said, "Well, I didn't have any slaves. I went and bought slaves, and I released them myself, then I came to get them." SubhanAllah. So you can see, it's just like it gives you that tafbeet, and it gives you really wanted to do things that you preach, and that is extremely important. إن النفس إن لم تشغلها بالطاعة شغلتك بالمعصية. So if you don't keep busy with obedience, then it may do that. Also, I want you to remember this dua or this hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. نضر الله امرأ سمع منا حديثا فنقله إلى من لم يسمعه فرب حامل فقه غير فقيه ورب حامل فقه إلى من هو أفقه منه. So نضر, what does نضر mean? That the Prophet ﷺ making dua to the one who make da'wah. And he says, نضر الله وجه امرئ. What is نضر الله?
Nudra means beautiful, nice.
A beautiful, shiny, and that is on the day of judgment. وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. اللهم اجعل وجوهنا ناظرة يا رب العالمين. All of us. So remember this dua that the Prophet ﷺ is making dua to the one who will make the da'wah. Now, the من دل على خير, as we said, أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. So all these ahadith, it gives us encouragement and shows us the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is given in this. Now, in order for this da'wah to really be effective, the da'iyah has, the people have, when they listen to him, they should believe in what he says, right? So, and in order to be believed, that means the da'iyah has to be what? Sadiq, right? A sidq, truthful. I mean, if you know somebody who's lying, you run away from him. You're probably never going to even listen to what he says, right? Or she says. So that's where sidq. Now, when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he came in with the da'wah, the first thing he came in, you'll see many people came. Why? Because he is the truthful, right? The truthful and the trustworthy. So the sidq is one of the important character that for the da'iyah to have the sidq. And remember, always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the ikhlas. Because sometimes it has to be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I say this, watch out, because sometimes we find ourselves, or people sometimes find themselves making a da'wah not for the sake of Allah, just to score points, right? You know, there's something you don't like, and somebody like make some error or some committed something, and you want to advise them. Ask yourself, why are you advising them? Is it for the sake of Allah, or is it just because you want to score a point? Hey, listen, I'm better than you, or there's something between you and him, and you just want to expose him. You want to put him down, and that happens, and that's where you have to be careful. You really have to be careful. Always make sure, ask yourself why you're making the da'wah for. You're making the da'wah, and ask yourself, if you find yourself you're not doing it for this, pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and يطهر قلبنا من النفاق ومن الرياء وأعمالنا من الرياء وألسنتنا من الكذب أن يرزقنا الإخلاص في العمل. الإخلاص في العمل, it's extremely important. That's where the da'wah should be. That is for to do that, not to score points and not for any other reason. And that's what we have to be, inshallah, careful.
Yeah, one more thing. The dawah should be, generally, you should give the message and not force the message.
Give the message and?
Do not force it.
Force it, yes, absolutely. Lean fi da'wah. Now, barakallah fi. Now. When Al-Hasan al-Basri heard وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَى إِلَى اللَّهِ, he said, this ayah, he said, subhanAllah, قال, هذا, he's describing the one who's making the da'wah. He's describing the one who's making the da'wah. Look at this, what he said. He said, هذا حبيب الله, هذا ولي الله, هذا صفوة الله, هذا خيرة الله, هذا أحب أهل الأرض إلى الله. أجاب الله في دعوته ودعا الناس وعمل صالحا في إجابته وقال إنني من المسلمين. Subhanallah, look at, I just wanted to give you this, how scholars and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how gifted scholars that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them that vision on like an ayah, and look how much he expanded in this, how much he loved, you can tell how much he loved this ayah and how much he was so impressed. And it went into his heart. So just think about it. When you make the da'wah, you are Habibullah, Waliyullah, Safwatullah. You are Ahabbu Ahli al-Ardi ila Allah. You have answered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His invitation, and you have invited people, and you did something good. And at the end you said, Innani min al-Muslimin. Allahumma ij'alna min ha'ula. Ya Rabbal Alameen. To be like he said, to be kind, like so. We said al-hikmah, and this is, you use it like for example, the people who have knowledge. You already they have knowledge, and you want to add something, or you want to discuss something with them and advise them something that they didn't know but you know. It has to be a very respectful way and all this, and that's where the hikmah is, to give and to be fitted to that. The maw'idha hasana, like somebody knows, alhamdulillah, you just add, and remember it has to be hasana. There's maw'idha sayya, right? So be careful, right? And jadiluhum al-mujadala billati hiya ahsan. Now, the jidal, for example, you see somebody is worshipping, like for example, there was some discussion one time that we talk about the people of the book when they make Isa alayhi salam is a'udhu billah, the son of God, right? Making children and all this. So how are you going to go and discuss that with them, right? Like, anta kafir, you can't do that, right? So you have to explain to them in a way. So for example, I come to them in our faith, talk about your faith, what you believe in, instead of just like attacking this, right? And And the other thing also you have to be careful, and this is what we see sometimes in the interfaith discussion. This is mudara, it's called mudara, but not mudahana, right? Do not compromise your deen to be courteous. That's not to, بالتي هي أحسن. بالتي هي أحسن, you don't lose on your principles. You stand tall and firm, but in kindness, in a way that, listen, our faith tells us that we do not believe that Allah does not have children. Allah is one, Allah is this, Allah is that. And we believe that Isa alayhi salam is our prophet, and we respect him, and we respect all messages and all this. We believe that if we consider anyone to be God, that takes us out of the fold of faith and all this. So you can have many ways to explain things, right? And we have to be careful with this. And like if you want to advise hukam, right? What happens to you? You go to jail, right?
Behind the sun.
So subhanAllah. But what we learn from the Quran, you have to talk with them in a nice way, in a kind way. And how do we learn this? From the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says to Musa and Harun, what did they say? قُولَا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Yani be kind and nice. You can't use roughness with those people because you want to bring them in. You don't want to fight with them. You can't fight with them, right? Now actually you can fight with them and stand tall because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports you, but that's not the goal. The goal is to bring them into the deen. And that's where the message is. That's when you make the da'wah, you're really not to go and win. You wanted to invite them to the deen. Now, you tried, and they didn't. So what do you do? The heck with it, I'm leaving, I'm quitting. What do you do? What are you going to do? Huh?
It's just, don't be so harsh against them, just to continue to do what you're doing.
Okay.
The best way is by example, and I give you two things, if you allow me, 2 minutes only.
No, 2 minutes too much. I'm just joking.
You know?
Summarize.
Okay, let us take the wisdom from God. Before God sent the message to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, He made him, He protected him from all sins, from anything wrong. He was Sadiq Amin. He was like, very trustworthy. Now, when He gave him the message, it should be easy, very easy for the people. When he came in on one day, when he started to relieve the Dawa, he said, "Wa sabaha, what a morning, you know." If I told you you have army behind this mountain, are you gonna believe me? He said, "Yes, everybody." Tell him, "Okay, I am the prophet of Allah." Some of them, or most of them, went away, even though he got like the most trustworthy, that he is a believer. This is one thing. The other thing, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was in Mecca one day, he found like very old lady trying to get her way out of Mecca, you know, on a ba'ir or something. Anyway, what happened? He walked with her. He offered her his help. He tried to help her. He walked 2 hours outside of Mecca. During this time, she was like criticizing the new religion, criticizing like the Islam, criticizing everything, and he didn't open his mouth. And then at the end, when she arrived there, she told him, "Who are you? I didn't ask you, who are you?" He said, "I am Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." See how the wisdom, he didn't speak until it was time to make a case. Okay? Right?
But my point is the following, and that's what I want to address, and how we can address that. You make da'wah, and people are not listening to you. So what are you going to do? Are you quitting?
Don't discourage.
You're going to get... So The da'iyah has to remember his or her job is to convey the message. The result of that message, when people believe or not believe, this is in the hands of Allah. Now, what we started with explaining the ayah, ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة وموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن. The answer to when people get the da'wah and they believe in or not, إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بمن اهتدى. So that's the rest of the ayah should give you the knowledge that ما عليك إلا البلاغ. So you have to guide people, hidayah. Your hidayah, there's two types of guidance. Hidayah to dilala wa irshad wa hidayah to tawfiq. Right? The dilala and irshad is to show them the way, to show them what is correct. The tawfiq, when they really follow that part. When Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he invited people, some believed, some didn't believe, and among those were the closest to him, his uncle, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ, right? You guide people to the straight path. But you only, this guidance is you show them. The other ayah, when about his uncle, he says, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. This hidayah is hidayah, the tawfiq. So you see now, there's two types of hidayah. So your job is to invite. And if they don't listen to you, they don't follow the da'wah, don't get upset. Don't get frustrated.
You get rewarded anyway.
Yes. But I mean, you probably feel bad for them. You may be sad because they did not follow for their sake, right? But the Prophet ﷺ, for example, وَلَا تَحْزَنْ, right? وَلَا تَكُ فِي ضِيقٍ, right? Just don't stress yourself. Don't stress yourself, right? I mean, you're going to be sad, but not sadness that disable you. Not sadness would make you turn away from the da'wah, right? Nuh alayhi salam, إِنِّي دَعَوْتُ قَوْمِي لَيْلًا وَنَهَارًا. Long time, he never gave up, right? He never stopped. So the key is don't get discouraged. And if you don't, because it's not in your hand. Some dua says, you know, I can use my charm, right? Right? I know how to convince people. How many times is it? Okay, I'll take care of it, right? You can't, you don't own their hearts, right? All you can do is show them the way, and then it may enter their heart, it may not. And that's not up to you. And don't get upset. And it's nothing to do with you, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who, we have many examples of the Rasul and all these things, inshallah. And then we have enough, is the shurut finished and we can pray. So we're going to stop right here, inshallah. Any questions before we close? Yes? ما شاء الله. النصيحة من الدعوة. النصيحة من الدعوة، والنصيحة إذا كانت تتعلق بأمور الدين فهذه دعوة، أو بأمور الأخلاق فهذه دعوة. والنصيحة غالبا يعني مثلا على سبيل المثال الإنسان يعمل في مصنع وعمل شغلة غلط، right? فأنت نصحته, you advise them to do it correctly. So this is not a da'wah. Now, the action itself, if you're among the faith of Muslim and he's among the other faith, and he finds you are really helpful and a good guy and all this, you may attract him and open his heart, maybe, to invite him to this, right? But, I mean, we're talking linguistically here. But that's what it is. والله تعالى أعلم وأعلم. نعم. طيب سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بارك الله فيكم جزاكم الله خيرا.